Voyages, where Virgin Voyages will be cruising instead of Cuba. In place of a new and exotic destination, travelers will find something much more predictable. That's the bottom line when it comes to the just announced itineraries on the schedule in the wake of the Trump administrations. Exactly a week after the announcement of the ban, the soon-to-debut line backed by Richard Branson's Virgin Group said on Tuesday it would replace 5-night sailings to Havana, Cuba, during its inaugural year with 5-night trips to Cozumel, Mexico, the most visited cruise port outside of Florida. The poster child for megatourism in the cruise world, Cozumel draws more than 4 million cruisers a year, who arrive on more than 1,000 sailings. That's many times. Virgin Voyages also revealed that 4-night sailings to Havana that had been on the schedule are morphing into 4-night trips to Key West, Florida, another relatively common cruise port with nowhere near the pizzazz of the Cuban capital. As with all Virgin Voyages itineraries, the trips will begin and end in Miami and feature a stop at the beach club, Virgin's on the island of Bimini in the Bahamas. Virgin Voyages had bet heavily on Cuba as a focus for its initial round of voyages, which kick off on April 1 with the debut of its first ship, the 2,770-passenger Cuba cruises. That said, Virgin Voyages isn't alone in having to search for alternatives to Cuba calls on short notice. Major lines such Virgin Voyages didn't make an executive available to the Points Guy to discuss the thinking behind its new port picks. But in a statement, in response to the U.S. government's new restrictions on travel to Cuba from the United States, Virgin Voyages has developed an exciting lineup of new itineraries featuring destinations that its sailors expressed interest in exploring, the line said. Virgin Voyages on Tuesday also announced plans for 2 7-night holiday voyages in December 2020 that will include stops at Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, San Juan. Under development for more than 5 years, Scarlet Lady is the first of 4 ships on order for Virgin Voyages. It's currently in the ship's initial sailings opened for booking in February of this year. Virgin Voyages said customers already booked on one of the departures where the itinerary has changed can cancel for a full refund if they notify the line within 30 days. Customers, the new Cozumel sailings that Virgin announced on Tuesday were unusual in one way. The port call at Cozumel will last late into the night. The line said Virgin Voyages said the new port call in Key West would last until sunset, and it'll be followed by a very late night stay until midnight at the line's private beach destination in Bimini. The Bimini visit will. Virgin Voyages is promising to shake things up in the cruise world with ships that offer a hipper, more inclusive, and distinctly younger vibe than what's available from existing lines, though not too young. Virgin Voyages, the Not Your Father's Cruise ship sensibility will include such previously announced features as the first tattoo parlor at sea, drag queen brunches, and in a nod to the Virgin Group's origins on board. There also will be fares for the newly announced itineraries start at $700 per person for a 4-night voyage, not including taxes and fees. Gene Sloan has written about cruising for more than 25 years and for many years oversaw USA Today's award-winning cruise site, USA Today Cruises. He sailed on featured photo of Cozumel by Getty Images. Editorial disclaimer: opinions expressed here are the author's alone, not those of any bank, credit card issuer, airlines, or hotel chain, and have not been reviewed, approved, or otherwise endorsed by any of these entities.
Raindrops